Dot. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead like angry wasps as Chen straightened her shoulders and knocked on the mahogany door of the corner office. Through the frosted glass, she could see the outline of Richard Blackwood's massive frame hunched over his desk, probably reviewing the quarterly reports that she had spent 3 sleepless nights perfecting. "Come in," his voice boomed from within. Maya pushed open the door, her heels clicking against the polished marble floor. The office reeked of expensive cologne and arrogance, a combination that had grown increasingly nauseating over the past 5 years. Richard didn't look up from his computer screen, his thick fingers dancing across the keyboard with surprising dexterity for a man who claimed technology was, quote, 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 quote. "You wanted to see me, Mr. Blackwood?" "Ah, Maya." He finally glanced up, his pale blue eyes scanning her from head to toe in that way that made her skin crawl. "Sit down. We need to discuss your request." Her heart hammered against her ribs as she settled into the leather chair across from his desk. This was it. After 15 attempts, after 5 years of being passed over for promotion, while watching less qualified men climb the corporate ladder around her, this had to be her moment. The senior director of operations position had been vacant for 3 months. She had been doing the job without the title or the pay, managing a team of 37 people and increasing department efficiency by 42%. The numbers didn't lie, even if Richard Blackwood did. "I've given your promotion request considerable thought," he began, leaning back in his chair until it creaked under his weight. "And I'm afraid I have to pass." The words hit her like a physical blow. Maya's vision blurred for a moment, the office tilting sideways before snapping back into focus. "I'm sorry, what?" "The board feels that you're not quite ready for that level of responsibility. Perhaps in another year or 2, when you've gained more experience." "More experience?" The words exploded from her lips before she could stop them. "Richard, I've been running that department for 3 months. I increased productivity by 42%, implemented the new quality control system that saved the company $2.3 million, and my team has the highest employee satisfaction rating in the building." His expression darkened. "I understand you're disappointed, but there's no need to raise your voice. Women in the workplace need to maintain their composure." Women in the workplace. The phrase hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Maya's hands clenched into fists in her lap, her perfectly manicured nails digging crescents into her palms. "Who are you promoting instead?" she asked, her voice deadly quiet. "Jake Morrison from the Milwaukee branch. Fresh perspective, you know. Sometimes an outsider is exactly what a department needs." Jake Morrison, 28 years old with an MBA from a mid-tier university and exactly 18 months of management experience. She had looked him up on LinkedIn the moment she heard his name mentioned in the breakroom gossip. His biggest accomplishment was increasing sales in a territory that had been artificially suppressed by a pricing error the previous year. "I see." Maya stood up slowly, smoothing down her navy blue skirt. "Thank you for your time, Mr. Blackwood." "Now, Maya, don't be like that. You're a valuable member of this team. We need workers like you to keep the company running smoothly." "Workers. Not leaders. Not visionaries. Workers." She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Just out of curiosity, how much will Jake be making in this position?" Richard shifted uncomfortably. "I don't think that's appropriate to discuss. I currently make $78,000 a year. I'm curious what the market rate is for someone with less experience doing the same job I've been doing for 3 months." "Maya, 120? She turned back to face him. 130? His silence was answer enough. Maya nodded once, a plan already forming in the back of her mind like a storm gathering on the horizon. "Have a wonderful day, Mr. Blackwood." She closed the door behind her with a soft click that somehow felt more ominous than a slam. The elevator ride down to the 15th floor felt like descending into hell. Maya's reflections stared back at her from the polished steel doors. A 32-year-old woman with sharp cheekbones, intelligent dark eyes, and the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that came from fighting uphill battles every single day. Her black hair was pulled back in a flawless chignon, her makeup pristine despite the emotional earthquake that had just rocked her world. Maya stirrade hennes friend. She looked successful, professional, competent. None of it mattered. The elevator dinged softly as it reached her floor, and Maya stepped out into the familiar chaos of the operations department. Her department, in everything but title and compensation. 37 people looked up from their desks as she walked through, some offering concerned smiles. Word traveled fast in the corporate ecosystem, and her body language probably told the story better than any memo could. Maya, Sarah Kim, her unofficial second-in-command, jogged over from the printer station. "How did it go?" Maya forced a smile that felt like broken glass. "Jake Morrison from Milwaukee. He starts Monday." Sarah's face fell. "You're kidding me. I wish I were. But this is insane. You've been doing that job for months. You saved them millions with the quality control overhaul. You." Sarah lowered her voice, glancing around to make sure they weren't overheard. "You practically built this department from the ground up." "I know." Maya's voice was steady, but something dangerous flickered in her eyes. "I know exactly what I've built here. And I know exactly what it's worth." Before Sarah could respond, Maya walked to her desk and opened her laptop. Her fingers flew across the keyboard with practiced precision, opening spreadsheets and databases that contained 5 years' worth of carefully compiled information. Client lists, process improvements, financial projections, efficiency algorithms she had developed in her spare time. Everything that made Blackwood Industries' operations department the crown jewel of the company. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her younger brother David. "Dinner tonight? Mom's making dumplings." Maya stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Can't tonight. Working on something big." "Rain check? Everything okay?" She hesitated, then deleted her response and typed, "Everything's about to be perfect. What do you think will happen next?" Share your predictions in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling stories. Maya's apartment overlooked the city skyline, 23 floors above the street noise and corporate politics that had consumed her life for the past 5 years. The floor-to-ceiling windows reflected her image as she paced back and forth across the hardwood floor, still wearing her work clothes at 11 p.m., a glass of red wine growing warm in her hand. Her laptop was open on the dining table, surrounded by scattered papers, financial reports, and a legal pad covered in her precise handwriting. Numbers. Calculations. The kind of data that could either build an empire or destroy one. The silence was broken by the buzz of her phone. Her best friend Luna's contact photo, a selfie from their college graduation, lit up the screen. "You missed girls' night," Luna's voice carried a note of concern. "Sarah texted me. I heard about the promotion." Maya closed her eyes and leaned against the window, the cool glass against her forehead a small relief. "I don't want to talk about it." "Okay, but I'm coming over with ice cream and we're gonna trash talk Richard Blackwood until you feel better." "Luna, no, I'm fine." "You're fine. Maya, you've been working toward this promotion for 2 years. You've sacrificed everything. Relationships, hobbies, sleep, your social life. And they gave it to some random guy from Milwaukee. You are not fine." Maya opened her eyes and stared out at the glittering city below. Somewhere down there, Richard Blackwood was probably sleeping peacefully in his suburban mansion, secure in the knowledge that he had put another uppity woman in her place. Somewhere else, Jake Morrison was probably celebrating his new position, blissfully unaware that he was about to walk into a situation far more complicated than he could imagine. "You're right," Maya said finally. "I'm not fine. I'm something else entirely." "What do you mean?" Maya walked back to her laptop and scrolled through the financial documents she had been analyzing for the past 4 hours. "Did you know that Blackwood Industries is privately held? Richard inherited it from his father, who inherited it from his father. 3 generations of mediocre men running a company that succeeds despite their leadership, not because of it." "Maya, you're starting to scare me a little." The company's current valuation is approximately $43 million. But that's based on outdated metrics and conservative projections. With the right leadership, the right vision, It could be worth twice that within 18 months. Luna's voice was cautious. What are you thinking? Maya's finger hovered over a particularly interesting document, a confidential financial report that she probably shouldn't have access to, but did, thanks to her comprehensive oversight of operations. I'm thinking that Richard Blackwood is about to learn a very expensive lesson about underestimating women. Please tell me you're not planning anything illegal. Legal. Perfectly, ruthlessly legal. Maya closed the laptop and picked up her wine glass, taking a slow sip. Luna, what do you know about hostile takeovers? There was a long pause. I know they're usually done by billionaire corporate raiders, not operations managers from Chicago. Usually. But not always. Maya walked to her home office, a converted bedroom that she had transformed into a sophisticated workspace, complete with multiple monitors and a high-end printer. The walls were covered with whiteboards filled with flowcharts, financial projections, and strategic planning diagrams that most people would assume belonged to a Fortune 500 CEO. Maya, you're brilliant, but you can't buy a $43 million company on a $78,000 salary. You're absolutely right. I can't. Maya opened a desk drawer and pulled out a thick folder that she had been updating monthly for the past 3 years. But Maya Chen, with her savings account and her 401k and her modest investment portfolio, isn't going to be the one buying the company. Then who is? Maya smiled for the first time in 12 hours, and it was not a nice smile. Someone who doesn't exist yet. But she will by morning. The law offices of Henderson, Carruthers & Associates occupied 3 floors of a gleaming downtown high-rise. Maya had chosen them specifically because they specialized in corporate acquisitions and had a reputation for discretion that bordered on the legendary. At 8 a.m. sharp, she sat across from Jennifer Henderson herself, a woman in her 50s, with silver hair and eyes like a hunting hawk. This is highly unusual, Miss Chen, Jennifer said, reviewing the preliminary documents that Maya had prepared. Shell companies are typically established by individuals with significant capital and existing business networks. You're asking me to help you create a structure for acquiring a company that's worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. I understand your concerns, Maya replied calmly, but I'm not most people, and I'm not asking you to do anything illegal or unethical. I'm asking you to help me level the playing field. Jennifer leaned back in her chair. You've been denied promotion 15 times by the same company? 15 times. Each time, the position went to a less qualified male candidate. Each time, I was told I needed more experience, more education, more time. Each time, I was given additional responsibilities without additional compensation. That's a clear pattern of discrimination. Yes, it is. But discrimination lawsuits take years to resolve and rarely result in meaningful change. I prefer a more direct approach. Jennifer picked up another document from Maya's file. You've prepared a comprehensive business plan for improving operational efficiency at Blackwood Industries. These projections are impressive. Conservative, actually. I believe I can increase company value by at least 60% within the first year. And you have the operational data to support these claims? Maya opened her briefcase and withdrew a tablet. With a few quick taps, she pulled up a presentation that she had been refining for months. Complete operational analysis, client satisfaction surveys, efficiency metrics, competitive positioning, market opportunities, and strategic recommendations. 5 years of data compiled and analyzed during my own time. Jennifer scrolled through the presentation, her expression growing more interested with each slide. This is corporate-level strategy consulting. You could sell this analysis alone for 6 figures. I could, but I'm not interested in consulting fees. I'm interested in control. Even if we can establish the corporate structure you're proposing, you still need capital. Significant capital. Maya had been waiting for this question. How much do you know about algorithmic trading, Ms. Henderson? Enough to know it's extremely high risk and requires sophisticated mathematical modeling. I have a master's degree in applied mathematics from MIT. For the past 3 years, I've been developing and testing trading algorithms using small amounts of my own money. My success rate is noteworthy. Jennifer's eyebrows rose. How noteworthy? My initial investment of $10,000 is now worth approximately $800,000. My algorithms have identified a market inefficiency in agricultural commodities that should allow me to leverage that into approximately $12 million within the next 6 months. The room fell silent except for the ticking of an antique grandfather clock in the corner. Jennifer set down the tablet and studied Maya with new respect. "You're not just planning to buy this company," she said slowly. "You're planning to destroy the people who wronged you." "I'm planning to create the company that Blackwood Industries should have been all along, if that destroys some careers in the process." Maya shrugged elegantly. "That's just good business." Jennifer smiled, and it was the smile of a predator recognizing another predator. "When do we start?" 3 months later, Maya sat in the same coffee shop where she had eaten lunch every day for 5 years. But everything else had changed. She wore a different outfit, designer jeans and a cashmere sweater instead of her usual business attire, and carried a different bag. More importantly, she carried herself differently. There was a confidence in her posture that hadn't been there before, a sense of purpose that radiated from her like heat from a forge. Her phone displayed the latest updates from her trading algorithms. $18 million and growing. The agricultural commodities play had worked even better than projected, and her mathematical models were now sophisticated enough to identify patterns that escaped most professional traders. She wasn't ready to quit her day job yet. She needed to maintain appearances for a few more months, but she was close, very close. "Maya!" Sarah dropped into the chair across from her, looking frazzled. "Thank God you're here. We need to talk." Maya looked up from her phone with practiced nonchalance. "What's wrong?" "It's Jake. He's—" Sarah glanced around to make sure they weren't overheard, then leaned forward. "He's a disaster, Maya. A complete disaster." This was expected, but Maya allowed appropriate surprise to cross her face. "What do you mean?" "He tried to implement some efficiency system he learned at his old company, except he didn't understand our client base or our workflow. We've had 3 major complaints this week, and the Peterson account is threatening to leave." The Peterson account. Maya had cultivated that relationship for 4 years, turning a mid-level client into the department's second-largest revenue source. She had anticipated that Jake would struggle with the complexity of their requirements. "Have you talked to Richard?" Maya asked. "I tried. He said Jake needs time to, quote, find his footing, and that we should be more supportive during his transition." Sarah's voice dripped with frustration. "Maya, at this rate, we're going to lose half our clients before Christmas." Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer Henderson, "Corporate structure complete. Ready when you are." "I'm sure it will work out," Maya said, tucking her phone away. "Jake seems like a smart guy. He'll figure it out." Sarah stared at her in disbelief. "Maya, this is your department, your work, your relationships with these clients. Doesn't it bother you that he's destroying everything you built?" It bothered her immensely, but not for the reasons Sarah thought. Every mistake Jake made, every client he alienated, every process he disrupted was reducing the company's value. And Maya needed Blackwood Industries to be worth as little as possible when she made her move. "Sarah, I'm not the senior director of operations. Jake is. If Richard thinks he's the right person for the job, then we should trust his judgment." Sarah's mouth fell open. "Who are you and what have you done with Maya Chen?" Maya smiled and gathered her things. "I have to get back to work. But Sarah, maybe you should start updating your resume. You know, just in case." That evening, Maya met her brother David at their parents' restaurant in Chinatown. The Golden Dragon had been in their family for 23 years, a modest establishment that served the best dumplings in the city and barely broke even most months. Their parents worked 16-hour days and had never taken a vacation longer than 2 days. "You look different," David said as they shared a plate of pork buns. He was 2 years younger than Maya and had inherited their father's easy smile and their mother's stubborn streak. Happy. Like you've got a secret. Maybe I do. Maya plucked a piece of bok choy from the serving bowl. David, what would you say if I told you I was thinking about leaving Blackwood Industries? I'd say it's about time. That place has been grinding you down for years. He paused, studying her face. But you're not just thinking about leaving, are you? You've got a plan. Maya had always been terrible at hiding things from her brother. What would you say if I told you I was thinking about starting my own company? I'd say you're crazy, and I'd ask if you need an accountant. Actually, I might. Maya pulled out her phone and showed him a screenshot of her trading account balance. David nearly choked on his tea. Maya, what the hell is this? Investment returns. I've been developing trading algorithms in my spare time. Spare time? Maya, you don't have spare time. You work 80 hours a week. I had 3 hours between midnight and 3 a.m. And weekends. She shrugged as if casually mentioning that she had been functioning on minimal sleep for months. David, I need to ask you something, and I need you to keep it between us for now. Okay. If someone offered to buy out Mom and Dad's lease and set them up in a bigger location with better equipment and a full staff, what would you think? David set down his chopsticks. I'd think someone was trying to scam them. Maya, what's going on? Maya looked around the restaurant, taking in the cracked vinyl booths, the ancient cash register. The way their mother's face lit up every time a customer complimented her cooking. Their parents had built something beautiful here, but they had never had the resources to expand it beyond survival mode. I'm going to change some things in my life, she said finally. Big things. And when I do, I want to make sure the people I care about benefit from it. Maya, I can't tell you more right now, but I will soon. I promise. David studied her face for a long moment. You're not in any kind of trouble, are you? No trouble. The opposite, actually. Maya's smile was sharp and satisfied. I'm about to solve a very old problem. Maya's alarm went off at 4:30 a.m., as it had every morning for the past 6 months. She rolled out of bed and padded to her home office, where 3 monitors displayed real-time market data from around the world. Her algorithms had been running all night, identifying opportunities and executing trades with mechanical precision. $24 million. She stared at the number for a moment, letting the reality sink in. 6 months ago, she had been begging Richard Blackwood for a promotion that would have increased her salary by $30,000 per year. Now she had enough money to buy his company outright and still have funds left over for a complete operational overhaul. Mier. The irony was delicious. Mier. Her phone rang. Jennifer Henderson's name appeared on the screen. Good morning, Maya. I hope I'm not calling too early. I've been up for an hour. What's the situation? Blackwood Industries is hemorrhaging clients. According to my sources, they've lost approximately 30% of their operational revenue in the past 3 months. Richard Blackwood is getting desperate. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Jake Morrison's incompetence had exceeded even her pessimistic projections. How desperate? Desperate enough to consider outside investment. My contact at First National mentioned that Richard has been making inquiries about short-term business loans. Interesting. What kind of terms? Unfavorable ones. His credit isn't what it used to be, and the bank is nervous about the company's recent performance. Maya walked to her window and looked out at the city waking up below. Somewhere down there, Richard Blackwood was probably lying awake worrying about quarterly reports and client retention. Somewhere else, Jake Morrison was blissfully unaware that his career was about to become collateral damage in a war he didn't even know was being fought. Jennifer, how quickly can we move if the opportunity arises? The corporate structure is in place. Your investment accounts are liquid. We could have an offer on his desk within 24 hours of making the decision. Perfect. Keep monitoring the situation. I have a feeling Richard is about to become much more motivated to sell. Maya hung up and opened her laptop. It was time to implement the next phase of her plan. At Blackwood Industries, the mood was funeral. Maya walked through the operations department and could practically taste the despair in the air. Empty desks marked the positions of employees who had been laid off the previous week. The survivors hunched over their computers with the grim determination of people trying to avoid becoming the next casualties. Maya! Jake Morrison appeared at her elbow, looking haggard. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. "Thank God you're here. I need your help with the Williamson account." Maya paused in her walk to her desk. "What about the Williamson account?" "They're threatening to terminate their contract. Something about quality control issues and missed deadlines. I thought you might have some insight since you worked with them before." The Williamson account. Maya had spent 18 months building that relationship, understanding their unique requirements, and developing customized solutions that had increased their productivity by 37%. She knew exactly what Jake had done wrong, and she knew exactly how to fix it. She also knew that fixing it would stabilize the company's revenue at exactly the wrong moment. "I'm sorry, Jake, but I'm not familiar with their current situation. You're the senior director of operations. I'm sure you'll figure something out." Jake's face fell. "Maya, please. I know things have been difficult since I started, but we're on the same team here. The company is struggling and—" "Is it?" Maya's voice was perfectly innocent. "I hadn't noticed." "You hadn't. Maya, we've lost 8 major clients in 3 months. Richard is talking about more layoffs. How could you not notice?" Maya shrugged and continued to her desk. "I guess I've been focused on my own work. Speaking of which, I should get started." She could feel Jake watching her as she settled into her chair and opened her computer. For 5 years, she had been the person everyone came to for solutions. The fixer. The problem solver. The woman who could salvage any situation and improve any process. Not anymore. Her computer pinged with a new email from Richard Blackwood. "All hands meeting at 2 p.m. Conference Room A. Mandatory attendance." Maya smiled and marked it as read. Conference Room A was packed with nervous employees when Maya arrived at exactly 2 p.m. She took a seat in the back, noting the empty chairs that represented recent layoffs. The mood was tense, whispered conversations dying as Richard Blackwood entered the room. He looked terrible. His usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, his face was flushed, and his hands shook slightly as he shuffled through his notes. Maya felt a brief moment of something that might have been sympathy, then remembered 15 rejection letters and the feeling passed. "Thank you all for coming," Richard began, his voice lacking its usual bombastic confidence. "I know there have been rumors about the company's financial situation, and I want to address those directly." He clicked to the first slide of his presentation. Revenue projections showed a steep downward trend. "We've experienced some challenges in recent months. Client retention has been lower than expected. And our operational efficiency has declined despite our recent leadership changes." Maya noticed Jake Morrison slumping in his chair near the front of the room. "However," Richard continued, "I want everyone to know that Blackwood Industries has weathered storms before. We're exploring several options for stabilizing our position, including potential strategic partnerships and operational restructuring." Strategic partnerships. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message from Jennifer Henderson. "They're meeting with venture capitalists tomorrow. Want me to make an offer before they do?" Maya typed back, "Not yet. Let them get desperate first." "I know this is a stressful time for everyone," Richard was saying, "but I need you all to remain focused on your work and committed to our clients. We will get through this together." The meeting ended with the kind of subdued applause usually reserved for funeral services. As employees filed out, Maya noticed several of them clustered in small groups, undoubtedly discussing their backup plans and exit strategies. Sarah appeared at Maya's elbow. "This is insane," she whispered. "The company is falling apart, and Richard's acting like it's just a temporary setback. The corporate structure is in place. Your investment accounts are liquid. We could have an offer on his desk within 24 hours of making the decision. Perfect. Keep monitoring the situation. I have a feeling Richard is about to become much more motivated to sell." Maya hung up and opened her laptop. It was time to implement the next phase of her plan. At Blackwood Industries, the mood was funeral. Maya walked through the operations department and could practically taste the despair in the air. Empty desks marked the positions of employees who had been laid off the previous week. The survivors hunched over their computers with the grim determination of people trying to avoid becoming the next casualties. Maya! Jake Morrison appeared at her elbow, looking haggard. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. Thank God you're here. I need your help with the Williamson account. Maya paused in her walk to her desk. What about the Williamson account? They're threatening to terminate their contract. Something about quality control issues and missed deadlines. I thought you might have some insight, since you worked with them before. The Williamson account. Maya had spent 18 months building that relationship, understanding their unique requirements, and developing customized solutions that had increased their productivity by 37%. She knew exactly what Jake had done wrong, and she knew exactly how to fix it. She also knew that fixing it would stabilize the company's revenue at exactly the wrong moment. I'm sorry, Jake, but I'm not familiar with their current situation. You're the senior director of operations. I'm sure you'll figure something out. Jake's face fell. Maya, please. I know things have been difficult since I started, but we're on the same team here. The company is struggling and… Is it? Maya's voice was perfectly innocent. I hadn't noticed. You hadn't? Maya, we've lost 8 major clients in 3 months. Richard is talking about more layoffs. How could you not notice? Maya shrugged and continued to her desk. I guess I've been focused on my own work. Speaking of which, I should get started. She could feel Jake watching her as she settled into her chair and opened her computer. For 5 years, she had been the person everyone came to for solutions. The fixer. The problem solver. The woman who could salvage any situation and improve any process. Not anymore. Her computer pinged with a new email from Richard Blackwood. All hands meeting at 2 p.m., conference room A, mandatory attendance. Maya smiled and marked it as read. Conference room A was packed with nervous employees when Maya arrived at exactly 2 p.m. She took a seat in the back, noting the empty chairs that represented recent layoffs. The mood was tense, whispered conversations dying as Richard Blackwood entered the room. Confirma. He looked terrible. His usually immaculate appearance was disheveled. His face was flushed, and his hands shook slightly as he shuffled through his notes. Maya felt a brief moment of something that might have been sympathy, then remembered 15 rejection letters, and the feeling passed. Thank you all for coming, Richard began, his voice lacking its usual bombastic confidence. I know there have been rumors about the company's financial situation, and I want to address those directly. He clicked to the first slide of his presentation. Revenue projections showed a steep downward trend. We've experienced some challenges in recent months. Client retention has been lower than expected, and our operational efficiency has declined despite our recent leadership changes. Maya noticed Jake Morrison slumping in his chair near the front of the room. However, Richard continued, I want everyone to know that Blackwood Industries has weathered storms before. We're exploring several options for stabilizing our position, including potential strategic partnerships and operational restructuring. Strategic partnerships. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message from Jennifer Henderson. They're meeting with venture capitalists tomorrow. Want me to make an offer before they do? Maya typed back, not yet. Let them get desperate first. I know this is a stressful time for everyone, Richard was saying, but I need you all to remain focused on your work and committed to our clients. We will get through this together. The meeting ended with the kind of subdued applause usually reserved for funeral services. As employees filed out, Maya noticed several of them clustered in small groups, undoubtedly discussing their backup plans and exit strategies. Sarah appeared at Maya's elbow. This is insane, she whispered. The company is falling apart, and Richard's acting like it's just a temporary setback. The next morning, Maya arrived at Blackwood Industries to find the parking lot buzzing with activity. News vans were stationed outside the building, and reporters with camera crews were interviewing employees as they arrived for work. Word of the company's financial troubles had leaked, and the business press was circling like sharks. Maya kept her head down and entered through the side entrance, avoiding the media circus. The lobby was chaos. Employees clustered around the reception desk, demanding information from the overwhelmed receptionist. The elevator ride to the 15th floor felt like ascending into a war zone. The operations department was eerily quiet. Half the desks were empty, either from layoffs or employees who had simply stopped coming to work. The remaining staff moved with the mechanical efficiency of people who knew they were probably looking for new jobs but hadn't quite given up hope yet. Sarah intercepted Maya before she could reach her desk. "Did you see the news trucks outside? Hard to miss them. Maya, I think you were right about updating resumes. I've been getting calls from headhunters all morning." Sarah's voice was strained. "Is it wrong that I feel guilty about it?" "Why would you feel guilty?" "Because this place has been my life for 4 years. And because—" Sarah hesitated. "Because you're still here. You're not jumping ship like everyone else." Maya sat down at her desk and opened her computer. Her email inbox contained 17 new messages from recruiters and former colleagues offering positions at competing firms. She deleted them all without reading them. "Maybe I'm just stubborn," she said, "or maybe you know something the rest of us don't." Maya's computer pinged with a new email marked Urgent All Staff. She opened it and read Richard Blackwood's message. "Due to recent media attention and market speculation, I want to address the entire staff directly. Please join me in the main auditorium at 3 p.m. for an important company announcement. This meeting is mandatory for all employees." Maya forwarded the email to Jennifer Henderson with a single word: showtime. The main auditorium was packed beyond capacity when Maya arrived. Employees who had been laid off weeks earlier had returned to hear Richard's announcement, crowding into the aisles and standing along the walls. The mood was tense, whispered conversations mixing anxiety with anger. Maya found a seat in the middle section, close enough to observe Richard's body language, but far enough back to avoid drawing attention. She noticed Jake Morrison sitting in the front row, his shoulders hunched with what looked like defeat. At exactly 3 p.m., Richard Blackwood walked onto the stage. He had clearly tried to present his usual confident image, but the effect was undermined by the slight tremor in his hands and the way his eyes couldn't quite meet the audience. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice echoing through the auditorium's sound system. "I know there has been considerable speculation about Blackwood Industries' future, and I want to address those concerns directly." He clicked to his first slide, displaying the company logo against a professional blue background. "Blackwood Industries has been a family business for 3 generations. My grandfather founded this company with a vision of excellence and integrity. My father expanded that vision into new markets and opportunities. And I have had the privilege of leading this organization for the past 12 years. Maya noticed he was using past tense. However, recent market conditions and operational challenges have created significant financial pressures. After careful consideration and consultation with our board of directors, I have made the difficult decision to explore strategic alternatives for the company's future." A murmur rippled through the audience. Strategic alternatives was corporate speak for "we're selling." "I want to be clear that any potential transaction will prioritize the preservation of jobs and the continuation of our operational excellence. We have received several expressions of interest from qualified buyers, and we will be evaluating all options carefully." Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer, "Offer submitted 20 minutes ago. Richard should have it by now." Richard continued his presentation, outlining the exciting opportunities that a sale might bring, and the, quote, continued commitment to employee welfare that would guide their decision-making process. Maya barely listened. She was watching his face, looking for the moment when he would process the implications of the offer that was currently sitting in his email inbox. "I know this is a difficult announcement," Richard concluded, "but I want everyone to understand that this decision comes from a position of strength, not weakness. Blackwood Industries remains a valuable and viable enterprise, and our future is bright regardless of ownership structure." The applause was polite but subdued. As employees began filing out of the auditorium, Maya noticed Richard checking his phone. His face went pale, then flushed red, then pale again. Peffa, he had seen the offer. Maya gathered her things and headed for the exit, her heart racing with anticipation. In the crowd of departing employees, she heard fragments of worried conversations. "Should have seen this coming. Updating my LinkedIn profile tonight. Wonder who's going to buy us. If only they knew." Maya was halfway to the elevator when her phone rang. Richard Blackwood's name appeared on the screen, and she felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with deep satisfaction. Maya Chen speaking. Maya, this is Richard. I need to see you in my office, immediately. I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwood, but I'm heading home for the day. Perhaps we could schedule something for tomorrow. Maya. His voice cracked slightly. Please. The word please had never crossed Richard Blackwood's lips in her presence before. Maya savored the moment like fine wine. I'll be right up. Richard's office felt different when Maya entered. The arrogance that usually permeated the space had been replaced by something approaching desperation. Richard stood behind his desk, holding a printed email with shaking hands. Sit down, Maya. I prefer to stand. He looked up at her, and for the first time in 5 years, she saw genuine fear in his eyes. This offer. Chen Holdings, LLC. Do you know anything about this? Maya's expression remained perfectly neutral. Should I? $38 million. Cash. Full employee retention guarantees. He set the paper down. It's exactly what we need. But I've never heard of Chen Holdings. Perhaps you should have your people look into it. Richard studied her face, and Maya could see the wheels turning in his mind. The timing. The name. The impossible generosity of the terms. Maya, he said slowly. What have you done? She smiled then, and it was not the polite, professional smile she had worn for 5 years. It was the smile of a predator who had finally cornered her prey. I've given you exactly what you deserve, Richard. His face went white. You're Chen Holdings? I am Chen Holdings. I'm also the woman you denied promotion to 15 times. The employee you consistently undervalued and underpaid. The person who built your most profitable department while you took credit for my work. Richard collapsed into his chair. How is this possible? Turns out I'm quite good at making money when I put my mind to it. Who knew? Maya walked to the window and looked out at the city. You have 72 hours to accept my offer. After that, I withdraw it, and let the vultures tear your company apart piece by piece. Maya, please, let's discuss this. There's nothing to discuss. You can sell to me, or you can watch everything your grandfather built get liquidated for scrap. Your choice. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and Richard? When I take over on Monday, you're fired. Along with Jake Morrison and anyone else who was involved in my 15 rejections. I suggest you start updating your resume. 6 months later, Maya stood in the same corner office that had once belonged to Richard Blackwood, but the space had been completely transformed. The mahogany furniture had been replaced with modern, ergonomic pieces. The walls displayed charts showing record-breaking productivity and client satisfaction scores. Most importantly, the office was now part of an open floor plan that encouraged collaboration rather than intimidation. Chen Holdings had completed the acquisition of Blackwood Industries on a Tuesday morning in November. By Wednesday, Maya had implemented her first round of operational improvements. By Friday, 3 major clients who had been considering leaving had signed contract extensions. Sarah Kim knocked on the doorframe of Maya's office. The Peterson account just agreed to increase their contract by 40%. That's the 3rd expansion this month. Excellent. Maya looked up from her computer, where she was reviewing applications for the newly created position of Chief Innovation Officer. Any word from the development team on the new quality control algorithm? They say it'll be ready for beta testing next week. Maya, I have to ask, how did you know all this would work? Maya smiled and gestured for Sarah to sit down. As her new vice president of operations, Sarah deserved an honest answer. I spent 5 years watching this company operate at about 60% of its potential. I knew exactly what needed to be changed because I'd been thinking about it every day for half a decade. The only difference is that now I have the authority to implement those changes. And the resources, Sarah added. I heard you're opening a 2nd location in Denver. 3rd location, actually. Denver, Austin, and we're looking at Seattle for next year. Maya pulled up a map showing potential expansion sites. Turns out there's a lot of pent-up demand for companies that actually value operational excellence. Sarah shook her head in amazement. You know what the craziest part is? Richard Blackwood is telling everyone who'll listen that selling to you was his idea, that he recognized your potential and wanted to give you the opportunity to prove yourself. Maya laughed, a genuine, delighted sound. Of course he is. Men like Richard can never admit they were outmaneuvered by someone they underestimated. It's psychologically impossible for them. Speaking of Richard, did you see that he's working for Morrison Consulting now? Jake Morrison's new firm? How appropriate. Maya turned back to her computer. Sarah, I need you to review the applications for our new Chicago location manager. I want someone hungry, someone who's been passed over for promotion at their current job, someone who has something to prove. Looking for another version of yourself? Looking for 50 versions of myself. The business world is full of brilliant women and men who've been held back by mediocre leadership. Time to give them a chance to show what they can do. Maya's phone buzzed with a notification from her trading algorithms. Her investment portfolio had grown to $47 million, mostly from profits generated by the expanding Chen Holdings empire. Her parents' restaurant now occupied a prime location in the financial district, with a full staff and a 3-week waiting list for dinner reservations. David had quit his accounting job to become Chen Holdings' chief financial officer, and their parents had finally taken their first vacation, a month-long tour of Asia that they posted about daily on social media. Luna had been promoted to marketing director and was spearheading a campaign that positioned Chen Holdings as, quote, the company that invests in people, not just profit. And Maya? Maya had learned that revenge, when executed properly, tasted exactly like success. Her computer chimed with a new email from Jennifer Henderson, competitor acquisition opportunity. Interested? Maya typed back. Always. Send me the details. She leaned back in her chair and looked out at the city skyline, where the lights were beginning to twinkle in the gathering dusk. Somewhere out there, another brilliant woman was probably sitting in a meeting being told she wasn't ready for promotion. Another innovative employee was watching less qualified colleagues climb the corporate ladder while their own contributions were ignored. Maya smiled and opened a new document on her computer, typing a single line at the top. Chen Holdings Expansion Plan, Phase 2. The revolution was just beginning. What did you think of this thrilling journey? Maya's transformation from overlooked employee to corporate powerhouse shows that sometimes the best revenge is massive success. Share your favorite moment in the comments below. Was it when she first revealed her secret plan, the moment Richard realized who was buying his company, or her ultimate triumph in the boardroom? If you enjoyed this story of determination, strategic planning, and sweet justice, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest tales of underdogs who refuse to stay down. What kind of story would you like to hear next? A tale of romantic suspense? A mystery that keeps you guessing until the final page? Or perhaps another revenge story where someone gets exactly what they deserve? Your comments and suggestions help me create the stories you want to read, so don't be shy. Let me know what captivated you most about Maya's incredible journey from corporate victim to CEO victor.